when you were first starting out, like how did you learn the ropes? Like, did you just throw yourself to the fire? Like I started in 2013, so there were no like courses or, anything like that. I just had to like trial and error it. Did you like take any courses or like, did you watch YouTube? Like,
can we ask what year you got started too on Amazon?
Yeah. So we started in February 2015. So so we're just hitting like, I guess our 5th year, like we're about to start. And we did not do any courses. We did hire a coach for the first 2 months, which was, I think, honestly, probably the best thing that we could have done. Because, so we had quit our jobs, which I do not necessarily recommend for everybody. So we were already like bleeding money at the time. And so we went like really aggressive right out the gate. We went with like 4 products and we probably, I don't know, invested maybe like 10, 15 grand, like right out the gate. And I would say all of those products pretty much failed, but it was enough to basically show us, like, we got enough sales to be like, okay, if we were choosing better products, this business model will for sure work. And like one did okay for a little bit and then like died out maybe a few months later. But overall, I think hiring that like coach in the beginning was like pivotal, because like one, we were testing with like 200 units of everything. And he's like, you guys need to like step it up. We need to like order more inventory. And like, in terms of like launches, he was like, okay, like here's like, A, B, and C, like you need to do these things. And it was a lot simpler back then. But I think just in terms of like making mistakes or like making less mistakes and getting us to where we are in like a short period of time, it was like a game changer. Like I wouldn't change anything about it.
Yeah, that's a good point too. In the fact, or something that people need to realize is, and I've noticed this with my own business and stuff, like, when I quit my job, it was like, all of a sudden now it's like, if you have pressure on you, to provide for your family, like you're going to get it done with a lot less. If you're somebody who's starting out with like a bunch of money, like that's why it's like when people are like, oh, I need like a ton of money to start an Amazon. I'm like, yeah, that's a good way to go, but don't be discouraged if you don't, because if you're kind of putting all your eggs in that basket, you have a lot more riding on making it work, and you're going to figure out ways to make it work.
Totally. Yeah. I think that's really true. Like that, what is that? Damon John says like, the power of broke. And I think that's like a really, really real thing.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah. I mean, you perform. I mean, that's why like, a lot of times like bootstrap businesses will end up like growing and doing really well really quickly, because the skills that those businesses have to teach themselves to grow, are invaluable. And further on down the road, when they're growing, they already have these skills now that these larger companies don't have, or have to go through a ton of red tape or hire extra people or do all this extra stuff in order to get there, because they didn't have to, they could just throw money at the problem. And when you throw money at the problem, sometimes that's not the right thing to do.
And I think it's really encouraging because, so many of us got started with, I did the same thing. I launched like 3 or 4 products at once, and like 2 of them were total flops, right? And the rest of them, I got a coach and got help in the beginning to get them going and understand what I was supposed to be doing. And it's not about how good you are at business, right? It's about how good of a product you pick, right? And I think it's really encouraging for people that are getting started and maybe their first product flopped, to realize, look, you can do well if you hang in there and just, try again. And you can eventually, it's okay. Most of us, I think, have that story of the first flop. And I think it's a really awesome learning story, right?
Totally. Yeah. I mean, like business is like anything else, you have to like work at it. And I think, there's so many stories of like people, post their like revenue screenshots and they think that like everything's going to be like, everything's going to be a home run or like even like, a double like right out the gate. And that's just not true. Like if you're like learning anything, like if you're learning, snowboarding, for instance, you're going to fall a lot like the first few times. And it's like, it's just so like unrealistic to think that, you're going to like put on your snowboard and you're just going to be like cruising down on like black diamonds, like, your
you're going to be the next Shaun White.
Yeah, exactly. And so I think if you go at it with that mentality of like, look, like it's okay that I'm going to fail. Like I'm going to take calculated risk and ideally mitigate a lot of those by hiring like, some mentor or like, asking a friend or whatever. I think you're just going to, you're going to set yourself up for a lot less disappointment.
Yeah.